Bevakasha.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us for our class in memory of Baruch ben Avraham, Rivka's father. Rivka's going to join us in a minute too. Thank you for Aharon Friedman from our yeshiva and her bracha who said it's okay for you, it was okay to shiur about Tu B'Shvat. So when you're ready, you can start the class.
He's not ready because he has to unmute himself. Okay, Bevakasha.
Okay. If you want, I have a few psukim if you want to see them, so I could do a share screen. Yeah, I'll do it. 1 second.
No. Give me a second.
But I need you. Okay.
Here you are. 1 second.
Oh yeah, here. Now it should be okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'll start. Good evening. The Shiur Leilu Nishmat Baruch ben Avraham about Tu B'Shvat. When we think about Tu B'Shvat, so we know Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah for the ilanot, meaning for the trees and the fruit. We have a bunch of Rosh Hashanah. The Mishnah says we have 4 of them: Nisan, Elul, Tishrei, and Shvat is now. First of all, before the meaning and the significance, halachically, the Tu B'Shvat has a few consequences for Hilchot Perot. I'll just give one example. We know that Rosh Hashanah of Tishrei is for Netiot, meaning for a new tree, and Tu B'Shvat is for Ilanot, meaning for a full-grown tree or fruit. So if someone plants a tree, so the first 3 years, you can't eat the fruit, the produce. It's Orla. And the way the border that by which we check Orla, so it depends. The beginning Netiot is by Tishrei. So if you get your tree up in time before Tishrei, a month ahead, so you get a full year. And when at the end of the 3 years, it goes by Tu B'Shvat, because that's already a question about the Perot. So for the fruit, we go by Tu B'Shvat. That's the border between the years. Same thing for other halachot, that masrot or other things, you have to do them properly from fruits from the same year and not between years. So the borderline for that is Tu B'Shvat. Beyond the halachic question of where Tu B'Shvat matters, I want to speak a little bit about what's the significance of Tu B'Shvat, or bichlal, what's the significance of Perot Eretz Israel. So if we look in the Torah, we find that Perot Eretz Israel are mentioned quite a few times. Sometimes only the Perot, meaning only the fruit. Sometimes all produce, meaning all what the grows in the land. It comes many times, and I think that if we check a few of those times, we can learn a few things about what we can learn from the fruit of Eretz Israel, what the Torah is coming to tell us by them. So the first place where we meet in the Torah fruit at all is right at the beginning at Bereshit. I'll read a few psukim over here. ויקח השם אלוהים את האדם והניחהו בגן עדן לעובדה ולשומרה. ויצב השם אלוהים על האדם לאמור, מכל עץ הגן אכול תאכל, meaning from every tree, every fruit you can eat, ומעץ הדעת טוב ורע, לא תאכל ממנו, כי ביום אכלך ממנו מות תמות, meaning you can eat from anything, besides the עץ הדעת, which is prohibited. Already here we can see that placing Adam in Gan Eden, and where he's placed where it's full of fruit, full of good trees, it's a way to show how Hashem is taking care of Adam properly, meaning to see whatever he needs. And after the next pasuk shows it even more, meaning all these psukim are talking about how Hashem is taking care of Adam in a good way to make sure he's happy, he's enjoying himself. And we see that really the fruit aren't enough. He has to have Ezra Kenegdo, and a few seconds later, he already has Chava. So already here, before speaking about Perot Eretz Israel, fruit Bichlal are an example in which Hashem takes care of Adam Rishon to make sure he has what he needs, and it's ready for him, and it has a good taste. That's what we see in the Perot. Beyond that, we see that many times in the brachot in the Torah, when the Torah says, if you go in Torah's way, you'll have blessings, then you have good things. Time after time, the Torah brings up the point of that if you go the Torah's way, the land will give you produce in a good way, in a blessed way. I didn't bring all the examples because there are many. I just brought a few. So I'll read here from number 2, דברים פרק ז'. והיה עקב תשמעו את המשפטים האלה, ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם, meaning if you go the Torah's way, ושמר השם אלוהיך לך את הברית ואת החסד שנשבע לאבותיך, meaning Hashem will keep his promise to your fathers and the chesed, ואהבך וברכך וירבך, וברך פרי בטנך ופרי אדמתך, דגנך ותירושך ויצהריך, שגר על אפיך והשתרות צונך. So if you go the Torah's way, Hashem loves you and he will bless you, and part of the blessing is pri admatcha, what grows in the land, and the examples are dgancha, tiroshcha v'tzarecha. So dgancha obviously very important because that's what we eat. That's the bread. It's a basic food that everyone needs, and beyond that we have tirosh v'tzar. Tirosh meaning wine, or grapes and wine, and itzar is a shemen, meaning olives and oil. Those are the things that if we go the right way, all of those will be blessed. Another example, when the Meraglim go to check out Eretz Israel, see what's over there, and to see how the fruit of the land look, so they bring back a few samples, and they say that it's good produce. They have other objections, but they say that it's good fruit. And when Yeshua answers him and answers the Meraglim and says that it's a good idea to go to Israel, so he says, Yeshua bin Nun v'chalev ben Yifune, I'm reading it at the number 3, מן התרים את הארץ, קראו בגדיהם, ואמרו לכל עדת בני ישראל לאמור, הארץ אשר עברנו בה לטובתה, טובה הארץ מאוד מאוד, meaning it's a good land, it's a very very good land, מאוד מאוד. אם חפץ בנו השם והביא אותנו אל הארץ הזאת, ונתנה לנו ארץ אשר היא זבת חלב ודבש. Again, we see, and here it's very clear that Hashem bringing us to Eretz Israel, to a good land, Eretz Tova, is part of Hashem taking care of Am Yisrael. Im chafetz banu Hashem, if he wants to do what's good for us, he'll bring us into Eretz Israel, which is a place where we can a good place where we can enjoy the land itself, and the Torah says zavat chalav udvash. So again, I wanted to see here two things. First of all, that the fruit are connected to Hashem wanting us and wanting to do good to us, and therefore giving us a good land with good fruit. And the land itself is called Zavat Chalav Udvash. What is the meaning of Chalav Udvash? There are a few shitot how to explain it already in the Midrash. Already but Tanaim, some say Chalav Udvash, Chalav kipshuto, meaning milk, and Dvash honey, like our honey. The other pirush is that Dvash meaning dates, just like Beshivat Aminim, the Torah calls Dvash to a tamar, so it's the fruit. And Chalav meaning mei perot, meaning the liquids of fruit, sweet liquids of fruit. And then Chalav and Dvash are similar. They're both talking about the good and sweet thing that land can give us. That's the other explanation. And you can say that Chalav and Dvash have both things inside, meaning Chalav is milk, like we know, and Dvash is the liquid of the dates, meaning of the tamar. And then we have both the blessing of the land through the fruit, the dvash, and also that the land can sustain and hold herds of cows and tzon ubakar and all that. So we have both asu chalav and asu dvash. Now this term eretz zavat chalav udvash we see in the Torah many times, and it becomes the almost a second name to Eretz Israel, meaning we want to say that Eretz Israel is a good land for us to go to and it's worthwhile. We say zavat chalav udvash, meaning it's a land that can give us good products. It can hold our herds and our cows, and through them we can have also milk. That's the title that Eretz Israel gets. Every time we want to say in a good way and want to tell people that it's worth to go for it, and it's a blessing. It shows that Hashem loves us, and through His love, Im chafetz banu Hashem, so He gave us a good land, Eretz Tova, that can give us chalav udvash. Same idea we see in another place, Dvarim Perek Chet. A few psukim that their main theme is very clear. They're coming to say how the land of Israel is a very, very good land. There's no other way to explain these psukim. That's what it's coming to say. So I'll read it quickly. In number 4, כי השם אלוקיך מביאך לארץ טובה, ארץ נחלי מים, עיינות ותהומות יוצאים בבקעה ובהר, many water plentiful, ארץ חיטה ושעורה וגפן ותאנה ורימון, ארץ דשמן ודבש, the שבעת המינים that we know, ארץ אשר לא במסכנות תאכל בה לחם, לא תחסר כל בה, ארץ אשר אבניה ברזל ומעריה תחצום נחושת, meaning it's not only fruit, good fruit, but it's easy to make bread, and not just what grows from the land is blessed. Also, the land, the minerals, the land itself, the rocks, the nechoshet, the copper, whatever you find there is also blessed. And next pasuk, ואכלת ושבעת וברכת את השם אלוקיך על הארץ הטובה אשר נתן לך. Meaning, part of the blessing is that when you go there and you eat and you eat from the blessing of what the land grows, so you will thank Hashem and bless Him on the good land He gave you. All these things again show one main theme, that the fruit show us the fruit of Eretz Israel, of the good land that we have, show us how Hashem is taking care of Am Yisrael, and He wants them to enjoy their time here and have a good land and a blessed place. That's what we see from time and time again. Again, I just brought a few examples, but there are many more besides those here. Now, after that, I want to try to see another point in it. What is special in fruit compared to yerakot, vegetables? Some of these psukim speak about fruit, especially, just like the psukim of Shivat Aminim, most of them are fruit. We have chita usora, and they're there because from there we have bread, which is basic, but all the rest are all fruit. How come? What's special in fruit more than vegetables, that they are brought up more? Also, we saw before that besides dagan, meaning wheat that we make bread from, we saw that there's tirosh v'itza, which is the wine and the oil. Why are the fruit brought up more often in the Torah? It seems that the answer is probably the answer why there were fruit in Gan Eden and not just vegetables, or that's what the Torah tells us about Gan Eden. Fruit, what's special about them? Two things. First of all, they're ready to eat. You pick them and they're ready. You don't have to process them. You don't have to, not like we know that in Chot Shabbat we have 10 melachot from the wheat until you get to a bread. Fruit are ready. You come by, you pick them, and you eat them. So it shows the blessing and the how much Hashem takes care of Am Yisrael more than vegetables. The second thing is their taste. Fruit are sweet, and you don't have to explain to anybody why sweet is yummy. It's good. It's delicious. You don't. It's not an acquired taste. Even a baby day old knows that sweet is yummy. It's good for you. I don't know, good for you, but it's delicious. So both that it's ready to eat and it's sweet, it shows the blessing of Hashem in a clearer way than vegetables. Now on this, about what we said, I wanted to ask a question and see a few approaches of how we can see the Torah's attitude towards this. If I sum up what we saw until now, we're talking about delicious food and good blessings that come with Eretz Israel. Question is, what is the overall, the Torah's attitude towards material wealth, abundance, material, many kinds of food, many kinds of good minerals that we find in the ground? What is the Torah's approach towards those things, these things? And I can come up, I'm sure that we can think of more approaches, but I thought of three ways to think of it that I'll say, and maybe you can guess which one I think is more accurate. But I guess each one of them has something to it, and there are probably many more ways to put it. First way to think of it: what is the Torah's attitude towards material wealth and abundance? We can think of it as maybe a dangerous thing. How come dangerous? Because we know, both from the world and from history and from the Torah, that having many good things can be very dangerous. People can sin when they have many things. Some people become lazy. Some people become selfish. They just take care about themselves. They don't see other people. Many things can happen from wealth when it comes and it's a lot, and therefore the Torah is trying to tell us, be careful from it. Be careful. Where do we see that? We see maybe already in Gan Eden. There were many trees that you're allowed to eat, but the tree that the historical tree that because of it we have Chet Adam Rishon and all what came after was it was a fruit, Ta'ava la'inayim, and that's what brought Adam v'Chava to sin, and the rest is history, as we say. So that's one way to say and to see it. And maybe also Orla shows that, because the Orla is telling you have a new tree, it's very nice, it's very dangerous. First 3 years, don't eat from it, it's forbidden, because you need to know what you have here to handle. It's not easy, it's not self-evident. You have to be careful what you do with it and what it will do to you. That's one way to see it. Another option, rather than seeing the material things as having a negative charge, we can see it as neutral. What I mean neutral? Neutral means, what I mean is that things that the Torah wants us to do, there are mitzvot. Things that we're not supposed to do, those are averot, they're the prohibitions. Things that aren't in the mitzvot category and not in the averot, they're neither there nor there. So, what is the Torah's approach to them? Depends. Whatever it does, whatever it leads to, that's the way you should judge it. Meaning, if someone uses material wealth to do good things and to be happier and to take care of people and to do mitzvot and to learn nicely Torah and whatever, all those things, so what led him to do that is good. It's great. If the wealth that a person possesses, if that brings him down to do less mitzvot, to do some averot, to be selfish, to be lazy, to think that everything belongs to him and whatever he wants it should be his, and if something it doesn't go his way, so he gets mad in a second. If that's the way he takes it, so it's bad. Meaning, whatever it leads you to do, that's the way to see it. And if nothing, if it doesn't help and doesn't bother, so it's nothing. It has no negative or positive self to itself, meaning essence to itself. It all goes by what it leads to, what you do with it, and how you handle it. That's another approach. And again, we can see that in the Torah, that approach, because there are some averot or prohibitions that are about material things, but they themselves aren't prohibited. Meaning, you're allowed to drink wine, you're allowed to eat meat or vegetables, and you have allowed to build a big house. It's fine. You have to see where it leads you. If you drink wine and from that you'll be happy and you'll learn nicely and your family will be better off, great. If you drink and you too much and you won't learn after that and your mitzvot look differently and everything changes to the worse, so it's bad. That's another approach, another way to see it, another way to have it. Besides those two attitudes, I think there's a third one, a third option. Again, they don't have to be entirely correct or false. You can have something combinations or the sort. I'm just showing a few directions. Third option is to say that the Torah likes when Am Yisrael have physical and material wealth and delicious foods and a good land and all that, and to build a good house and to have a good time, it's great. It's all good. Meaning it's good. Why would it be good? Well, a few things we can say why it could be good. First of all, when we look in the Torah, what are blessings that the Torah states, tells us, if you go the right way, what will you get? Time and time again, the blessings are material, physical. In this world, you will have produce will come up nicely, and you'll have wealth, and you'll have the fruit, delicious fruit of the land, and you'll have water, and whatever you need, whatever you want, you'll have. You have the money you need, and you'll have whatever you want, you'll have. Meaning, it's a good thing. If the Torah is telling you that if you go the right way, that's what you'll get, meaning it's good. More than that, the Torah doesn't just say it's a prize. It's not just a prize. It shows that Hashem loves you. Im chafetz banu Hashem, right? If He loves you, what will He do to you? He'll give you many good things. So it's not just good. It's what Hashem wants. He wants us to have a good time and to have what we need and to have the pleasure that we can have and enjoy what we can have from the land. It's good. That's what the Torah wants. It's not so simple, because it's true that material possessions and material food and anything material does have danger attached to it. That's true anyway. And that's why the Torah, in many of the mitzvot, is trying to tell us or show us what is the way to obtain material happiness and material happiness, which contributes to happiness itself, and material prosperity, without it having the bad effect on us, without us becoming lazy, and without us becoming selfish and all that. Now, why is you could say that why is this different from the second approach? The difference is maybe not at the end, you won't be able to tell two people who goes by which approach, maybe. But there is still a difference. The difference is how we see our pleasure or our happiness. In the third approach, just like we saw in the Psukim, when Hashem loves you and He wants us to have good things and to have good things in the land. It's like every parent, he wants his kids to have whatever they want, and they can enjoy it and have their pleasures and have their physical and material things. It's great. It has to be in a careful way so as not to suffer the dangerous traits that may come with it. But the way to keep your way, or the guidelines, are different. Why are they different? Because if we'd say that that happiness that comes from physical and material things has no charge to it, meaning it's not neither good nor bad. It's all goes by what you do with it and what it leads to. If that's how we see it, we might say, what's the best way? Derech haemtza, like we see in the Rambam. Not too much, not too little. Too much, not good, because people with too much, they're greedy and they fight for it and they steal and whatever. Too little, so they're lazy and they don't get out of bed to get their work done, and they don't have motivation and they can't fight for what's important. Okay, so not too much, not too little. That's one way to say it's okay. It depends what you do with it. So you have the middle, the derech haemtza. There are some things that if we say that they're good, so you don't say you should have it, but benoni, not too much, not too little. No, it's good. If you ask how much should you have it, infinity, as much as you can. The way to balance it out isn't by stopping yourself from having physical possession. It's by other ways. What other ways? So we won't say all of them. The Torah has full of them, but we'll say a few. One of them is to acknowledge and know where the blessing comes from. And that's what we saw in the last pasuk that we read. ואכלת ושבעת, או ואכלת ושבעת, וברכת את השם אלוקיך על הארץ הטובה אשר נתן לך. Meaning, if when you eat and you enjoy the great fruit that the land gives us and the great prosperity that Am Yisrael gets from living in Eretz Israel, if while you do all that and you enjoy the blessing, the mitzvah is to bless Hashem for it, to levarech, and this is also the makor for Birkat Hamazon. When you thank Hashem and bless Him for your blessings, that is one of the ways to make sure that your prosperity and your possessions won't pull you down to bad things, or rather they'll keep you in a good way and help you do good things. Because you acknowledge it's from Hashem. He gave it to us. It's from His love to us. Therefore, we'll use it for good ways. We'll be more ethical using it. Meaning, one of the ways to make sure that that physical possessions and abundance of physical and material things won't make us worse people is to acknowledge and to count our blessings. To know whatever we have, thank Hashem. It will also make you happier with what you have, because you say it wasn't mine from forever. Hashem gave it to me. He didn't have to give it to me. I still got it. You'll be happy with what you get, as opposed to some people who, as much as their standard of living goes higher, so everything becomes a given, meaning I have to have this level of wealth and prosperity. If by any chance or by anything that happens, I'll be less, I'll be unhappy. If I get my standard, so that's standard. Nothing to say thank you for. So acknowledging the blessing is one of the ways in which the Torah says to keep us from the bad things that the wealth can bring. The Torah does say that wealth can bring bad things. We have in the Sefer Devarim at the end, Vayishmani Shurun Vayiv'at, or Shamanta Avita Kasita, meaning it can bring us to be lazy, to forget Hashem, to think it's all us. It can. One of the ways to stop us from getting there and to appreciate our blessings is to thank for them, to thank for each thing. The Torah says it, and for Birkat Hamazon, what we just saw, but Chazal make it even further for every time a person eats. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot says, from where do we know that we make a blessing, we make a bracha, not just after we eat, which is what we saw in the pasuk, v'savata, it's after you ate. How do we know that you also make a blessing before you eat? And the bottom line of the sugya over there is that asur la'adam le'not ma'olam hazeh bli bracha. It's not proper. It's prohibited, but it's not proper to enjoy the pleasures of this world without acknowledging who gave it to you, Hashem gave it to you, and to thank Him for it. Without it, it's dangerous. Without noting time and time again that all what we have is a blessing to us, and it shows Hashem's care for us. Without that, um, the dangers of becoming ethically worse are too great. That's why every time we eat, we have to say the blessing first. That is one kind of way that the Torah tells us or guides us to take the blessing. Physical blessing of Eretz Israel is great, and that's what the Torah wants us to come here and to enjoy the great fruit that the land gives, but to make sure that that doesn't make us worse. And the way to keep us ethically that it will make us bit better is one of the ways is by blessing before we eat, after we eat, and all that. Another thing is what we see in Bikurim. So I'll read a few more psukim here in Makor Chamesh, and then number 5. It says when people bring Bikurim to the Mikdash, so it says, "V'ki tavo el haaretz, asher Hashem Elokecha noten lecha nachala, לקחת מראשית כל פרי האדמה," meaning you bring the first of the fruit, אשר תביא מארצך, you bring all those אל המקום אשר יבחר השם, meaning you bring it to Yerushalayim. And then when you get there, so everyone who brings Bikurim, they have to say some text, meaning that tells about what Am Yisrael passed on the way to Eretz Israel, meaning the whole story from Mitzrayim and even before. So the story says, וענית ואמרת, you say over there, לפני השם אלוקיך, ארמי עובד אבי, וירד מצרימה, went to Egypt, והגר שם באמצעי מעט, ויהי שם לגוי גדול, we became a people in Egypt, ויציין השם ממצרים, I jumped a few פסוקים, ויציין השם ממצרים, בית חזקה וזרוע נטויה, ומורה גדול, meaning we acknowledge the great miracles of the exodus, of the time ממצרים, והביאנו למקום הזה, ותן לנו את הארץ הזאת, ארץ זבת חלב ודבש. Again, he gave us a good land of milk and honey. ועתה, הנה הבאתי ראשית פרי האדמה, אשר נתת לי השם, ונחתור לפני השם אלוקיך, והשתחווית לפני השם אלוקיך. Meaning, and after you say all that, so you bring whatever you brought and put it over there, in the Mikdash. And then there's a very interesting pasuk. It says, ושמחת בכל הטוב, אשר נתן לך השם אלוקיך, ולביתך, אתה והלוי, והגר אשר בקרבך. What can we learn from this pasuk? I think we can learn here a few things. First of all, the Torah says, "V'samachta b'chol hatov," meaning you have good things, you have good fruit, you should enjoy them totally. B'chol hatov, whatever you have, enjoy it. It's not a kind of a parve attitude that says, "Yeah, not too much, not too little. You should have a little bit, but you still check." No, wherever you had, whatever you get is a blessing. Enjoy it, use it, and be happy from it. It's great. Meaning, the way to make sure that the blessing stays a blessing and isn't osher shamur lebe'alav lerato, meaning sometimes possession is bad to the owner. It's not by saying just you should enjoy it, but not too much. That's not the way. You should enjoy it entirely, totally. But there are a few ways or a few things that you have to make sure that you do, and if you do them, that will make sure that that all your possessions are bring you to be a better person, and to do better things. If you do what the pasuk says, so the Torah says, meaning first of all you have to remember where it came from. Just like we said in blessing after food, you remember that all the good that you have, you should appreciate it and you should be thankful for it because Hashem gave it to you. It didn't have to go to you. Things could have gone wrong many times between when you planted until you got your produce. Therefore, you should acknowledge it didn't have to be that way, and you should be thankful to Hashem who gave it to you. That's the first thing. Just like we saw in blessings, in the brachot. Ulveitecha, meaning not just you should be happy with your family, with your wife, with your kids, meaning it doesn't stop at you. The point isn't to have a good time and then it'll stay by you, you'll be selfish. No, make sure that when you have physical and material prosperity, it doesn't stop by you, it goes on. It makes you happy, it makes your family happy, and it makes the rest of the circles happy. So, אתה וביתך, אתה והלוי והגר אשר בקרבך, meaning make sure that your happiness moves on and keeps on to involve your whole family. And Levi והגר in the Torah are examples of people who need help. Why? Because they don't have their own possessions. The Levi doesn't have land, but ba'aretz, in Eretz Israel, and Ger, he came from far away. He's new here, doesn't have the what it needs to take care of himself. So make sure that when you're prosperous and you have many things, you should be happy in whatever you have, and make sure that it doesn't stop with you. That when you're happy, the circles around you will be happy as well. Your family will be happy, and people in need. If it may be a Levi, maybe a Ger, maybe anyone else, make sure it doesn't stop by you. Again, it's not to say that happiness isn't so good, you should have a little less. Not too much, not too little. No, happiness is great. That isn't the problem. To have a good time and to enjoy yourself isn't what the Torah is trying to frighten you from. It's fine. Make sure that as far and to the extent that you have many things and good things to enjoy, it doesn't stop by you. It doesn't make you selfish and self only to yourself. It moves on. It goes to your family and it goes to whoever is in need. So I think that is a good example of showing that the Torah isn't against at all to tell someone. It doesn't tell a person or a Jew, don't enjoy yourself too much. That's not what the Torah is saying. It's saying that blessings are blessings from Hashem, and they're great, and that's what Hashem wants. Im chafetz banu Hashem, so he'll give you a good land. That's great. The way to make sure that the blessing will really be a blessing and won't bring bad things is to make sure that you don't do it in a selfish way, meaning that you take it to others as well, and that you acknowledge where you got it from. It's a little bit similar to what we see in a different pasuk that they bring on the page that says "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha." You can think that when someone loves himself, it's not so good, because the more he loves himself, the less he can love the other people. Meaning there's only so much only so much love can go around. But the Torah doesn't see it that way. It's not a zero-sum game. How much is for yourself and how much for the rest. Meaning, if you love yourself in a good way, that's fine. It's great. The Torah says, make sure it doesn't stop by you. That it also moves on to people around you, to your wife, to your family, to everyone else. That is the correct and way to appreciate the blessings and to take the best out of them. Just a few more points about this, about Tu B'Shvat. We see this. We see this in one more place, meaning that it's a good thing. The people enjoying the pleasure and the enjoyment of eating good food of Eretz Israel is a good thing. A good thing. Where do we see it? We have in Birkat Me'en Shalosh, which is the last bracha for Shivat Aminim or for Mizonot. So the Gemara says that what is the nusach of Birkat Me'en Shalosh? So the Gemara says, "Apere de'etz," meaning for fruit of the Shivat Aminim, meaning grapes and all that, olives. So אומר על העץ ועל פרי העץ, ועל תנובת השדה, ועל ארץ חמדה טובה ורחבה, שהנחלת לאבותינו, לאכול מפריה וזבוע מטובה. So we say in the bracha that Hashem gave us the land, לאכול מפריה, to eat from its fruit, וזבוע מטובה, meaning to appreciate the blessing of the land, of the crops, of the produce, of everything. It's interesting that some poskim, barishonim, did say that this is wrong to say it. The tool in number 7 says that you shouldn't say it that way, because he says that it's improper to say that we came to Eretz Israel just to eat the fruit. You should say we came to Israel to do mitzvot ba'aretz, to do things like that, but not. But he didn't like it that he didn't. He said that it's not proper to say that we came to Israel for eating the fruit. So the Tur says not to say those words. Minhag today is to say them, of course. And the Bach is Bach is very mifusam, is very famous for Tu B'Shvat. And he says, no, it's good to say. It's good to say because the fruit show the blessing in the land and the holiness in the land. So it's good. To eat them and to enjoy them is good because that is the blessing of Israel. That is the holiness and the blessing come together. It's true that there are some mitzvot that come with Israel, but it's not just for that. The holiness of Israel comes. We see it also in the mitzvot that it tells us to do, but also in the blessings that come with it. One last thing that I'll say about this is Tu B'Shvat is Chag HaIlanot. So I thought we'd see together the nusach, the text of Birkat HaIlanot. Even though we don't say it now, we say it in Nisan, but it's coming up. What can we learn from the nusach of Birkat HaIlanot? So it says, ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם, שלא חיסר בעולמו כלום, there are few נוסחים. וברא בו בריות טובות ואילנות טובות, טובים, לענות בהם בני אדם. Meaning, if we would read this bracha, what is the purpose of the good trees and fruit that we see among us? So people will enjoy them. That's what they're there for. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. While you do it and while you enjoy the great blessing that it is to live in Eretz Israel and to eat the products of Eretz Israel and the fruit and all what we have here, you need to remember where we got from. That's why we need to levarech lifnei. We need to say the bracha. That's fine. It's important, but enjoying the food is great. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes people say that you eat for the bracha. Yeah, the meaning that what you're eating that's for you, but the bracha that's important. Not exactly. The Torah isn't against people enjoying themselves. The opposite. The blessing that we see in what we have and what we do with it, that is one of the ways that we see Hashem's care for Am Yisrael. Hashem's care and Hashem's love for Am Yisrael is through the blessing that we see in our lives, in what we do, in what we work, in the land that we live in. That shows His blessing. And to enjoy it is great. And the way to make sure that the prosperity of physical and material things will make us do better in the world and won't pull us down and won't make us deteriorate and to bad things is by acknowledging where we got it from and blessing Hashem before we eat, after we eat, to know where it came from and to appreciate it and to make sure that what we have makes us happy, it's fine, but it doesn't stop there. It keeps on, and we make sure that whatever we have will make better the lives of people who buy us, our families, our extended families, and all Am Yisrael and the whole world at the end. So I want to say at the end that we should merit and we should lizkot that in whatever we do, to appreciate the blessings of the good land that we have and to enjoy them in a good way, and that abundance and that material wealth will be good to us, will make us better people who do more mitzvot and who are more caring to their family, more caring to the rest of Am Yisrael. And ושיהיה לעילוי נשמה. וט"ו בשבט שמח, not today yet, tomorrow, but ט"ו בשבט שמח. And I'm done.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Aharon Friedman, for the great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. תודה.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for including us.
תודה, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. May your father have an Elui Nishma.
Amen. Right.
Mm.
ערב טוב.